Look at the coffee as it gets darker and stronger.
Not so long ago, the high-concept ads of today were all but unthinkable.
Soap has never smelled this good before, and neither have you.
Ads laid claim to real, tangible differences between one product and another.
What were brands? They were based on what I call ER words. Whiter, brighter, cleaner, stronger.
Smoothest, mildest, tastiest cigarette.
Watch any commercials on American TV and you'll see these words up in the first 3 seconds, hammered remorselessly into your brain.
But at some point, these words ceased to have meaning. We no longer believed that one product was any brighter or cleaner than any other.
Everything works now, you know. French fries taste crisp, coffee's hot, you know, beer tastes good. Unless you live in America, and then, you know, you got to live with what you get. But all these things now are table stakes.
By the early 1990s, a new approach to marketing came to the fore. One that leapt right over what the product did to what the product meant.
You know, it's not just a car, it's an expression of the culture, an aesthetic that is connected somehow to nature, infinity.
These were the super brands like Nike, Starbucks, the Body Shop, and what they noticed these brands had in common was that they were they were engaging in a kind of a sort of pseudo-spiritual marketing. So Nike said that they were about the meaning of sports, but more than that, that they were about transcendence through sports. Starbucks said that they were about the idea of community, a place that is a third place, that is not home, not work. Benetton was, of course, selling multiculturalism, racial diversity.
This lesson, that a brand could forge an emotional, even spiritual bond with today's cynical consumer, wasn't lost on corporate America.
What are you saying with your Chinette plates?
This wave of corporate epiphanies in the mid-90s where all these companies, you know, were told, you know, what your problem is you don't have a big idea behind your brand. So they would hire high-priced consultants and they would have these kind of corporate sweat lodges and gather around the campfire and sort of try to channel their inner brand meaning. And they would emerge from the processes sort of flushed and say, you know, Polaroid isn't a camera, it's a social lubricant.
When I was a brand manager at Procter & Gamble, my job was basically to make sure the product was good, develop new advertising copy, design the pack. Now a brand manager has an entirely different kind of responsibility. In fact, they have more responsibility. Their job now is to create and maintain a whole meaning system for people, through which they get identity and understanding of the world. Their job now is to be a community leader. It is the big monopolistic.
Yeah.
Ad strategist Douglas Atkin, an expert on the relationship between consumers and brands, says he had a eureka moment one night during a focus group.
I was in a research facility watching 8 people rhapsodize about a sneaker. And I thought, where is this coming from? This is, at the end of the day, a piece of footwear. But the terms they were using were evangelical. So I thought, if these people are expressing cult-like devotion, then why not study cults? Why not study the original? Find out why people join cults and apply that knowledge to brands.
I'm loyal to this practice because it's done so much for me.
If Atkin could find what pushed a person from mere fan to devoted disciple, perhaps he could market that knowledge.
Most of the people I discuss the WWF with know that it's not a sport. Right. It's a masculine ballet.
So he compared dozens of groups he considered cults with so-called cult brands, from Hare Krishna to Harley Davidson.
If you're smart and kind of individual, that's what you drive.
From Falun Gong to Mac.
I think there's something about Mac users, like they get it.
We just had discovered something.
They realize there are other people like them and they cooperate on certain projects. And it's part of belonging to the tribe.
And the conclusion was this, is that people, whether they're joining a cult or joining a brand, do so for exactly the same reasons. They need to belong and they want to make meaning. We need to figure out what the world is all about and we need the company of others. It's simply that. Saturn is a really good example. It's a mass cult brand. For example, 45,000 people turned up to spend their holiday, their vacation time at the factory in Tennessee, instead of going to Disney World or the Grand Canyon. Now, why would they do that? is because they wanted to meet other people who own Saturns. They wanted to meet the rest of the Saturn family. They wanted to meet the people who made the car. The people who made the car wanted to meet them. And the people who ran the Saturn business knew that.
This summer,
they not only knew it, they turned it into an ad, which only brought more people into the Saturn family.
we called it the Saturn Homecoming. They could see where the idea for a new kind of car company had taken shape, and we could thank them for believing we could do it.
And they created a great meaning system for Saturn. In those fantastic commercials, their meaning system was based on old-time values of community. It was a kind of an icon that America yearned for but couldn't find anymore.
And that's the object of emotional branding, to fill the empty places where non-commercial institutions like schools and churches might have once done the job. Brands become more than just a mark of quality. They become an invitation to a longed-for lifestyle, a ready-made identity.
The campaign for iPod is remarkable. When I see the poster as I'm passing by, when I go on the website and it comes to life, and I hear the music track going, and then when I put my little iPod earpods on, and I see the white cords against my black jacket, I'm in that poster, and the poster is me. And then the music, my music, comes over my iPod, and it's a brand experience.
When you listen to brand managers talk, you can get quite carried away in this idea that they actually are fulfilling these needs that we have for community and narrative and transcendence. But in the end, it is, a laptop and a pair of running shoes. And they might be great, but they're not actually going to fulfill those needs. But which serves them very well, because of course that means that you have to go shopping again.
Ironically, this new, more spiritual trend in branding has ultimately put enormous pressure back on ad agencies. There are only so many big concepts to go around. Starry-eyed advertisers looking to become the next big thing are constantly dropping one agency for another. This churning of accounts has left hundreds of agencies weakened and vulnerable to takeover by one of 6 mammoth holding companies. Most notably, Publicis, Interpublic, WPP, and Omnicom. Each has snapped up dozens of advertising, PR, and market research firms, consolidating their operations and slashing jobs. This cutthroat economic climate means that for many ad agencies, their most important pitch of all is for themselves.
There's a lot of fear in the agency business right now. They are basically becoming commodities, and they're trying to figure out how to differentiate themselves. And if you boil down, if you went to the websites of the top 20 ad agencies and you looked at what each one uses as the slogan or the motto that they think differentiates themselves from their competitors, these things read almost absurdly like the same sentence cast a lot of different ways.
Deliver knockout creativity.
Boy, does the world need breakthrough ideas.
Kevin Roberts is the CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi. What used to be the biggest player in the ad business is now a small subsidiary of a giant French holding company. In the weeks before we saw Kevin Roberts, Saatchi took a major blow, losing $185 million in billings from its client Johnson & Johnson, including the Tylenol account that Saatchi had held for 28 years. But Roberts is undaunted. He thinks he's found a path to revive Saatchi's fortunes.
You feel the world through your senses, the 5 senses, and that's what's next. The brands that can move to that emotional level, that can create loyalty beyond reason, are going to be the brands where premium profits lie.
So we figured out what the answer was, that there was something in outstanding brands.
What sets Roberts' big idea apart from his competitors is its boldness. He claims he has discovered the formula to turn nearly any product into an object of devotion.
That there were brands that connected, and there were brands that people loved. They didn't like them, they didn't admire them, they didn't respect them, they didn't use them. None of that wimpy-wumpy stuff. They loved them.
Roberts calls his big idea love marks. What is a love mark?
A love mark is a brand that has created loyalty beyond reason, that's infused with mystery, sensuality, and intimacy, and that you recognize immediately as having some kind of iconic place in your heart.
Happy holidays from
Well, where's the mystery in a Cheerios?
Oh, Cheerios is full of mystery. You don't think that people just eat these and putting them in a bowl, do you? And that's not how they eat them anyway. Most kids play with them, they make stories up about them, they imagine them. We shot this great commercial with a grandma and a baby.
You know how much Grandma wanted to be here for your first Christmas? She came a long way. You see, Grandma lives way down here. Brian, your cousin, he's a little bit older than you. He lives here in Chicago.
You can build mystery as long as you believe in the story.
But no matter where Grandma lives, we'll always be together for Christmas.
Happy holidays from Cheerios.
You just ate Dallas.
You know, we've moved from brands into experiences. Look at Tide, for instance, in the US. Tide's no longer a laundry detergent. It's not about getting clothes clean anymore. All detergents get your clothes clean. Tide's about a much deeper thing than that. It's an enabler. It's a liberator. It's, I guess you think about moving Tide from the heart of the laundry to the heart of the family.
Take me home, yeah, to my family.
I guess so. But how many brands ever really succeed in creating loyalty beyond reason?
There are few examples when advertising really does cast a Svengali spell. AT&T has done it, Hallmark has done it, Coca-Cola has done it, but most of the people who've tried to make emotional connections with consumers over the years, by far the vast majority, have failed. They've gone down in flames.
Think about it this way. Instead of saying that's so cool, you'll say that's so Song.
Just 6 months after it was first conceived, Song Airlines is in the skies. What began as a new way to market Delta's lower-cost flights has emerged as a company-wide culture, an ethos imprinted onto every available surface.
You can never be the only carrier or the only product offering a certain attribute for so long. So what we're trying to do with Song is there's a spirit that you can't copy. There is that emotional bond that we are trying to get with our customers that cannot be copied.
We are not an airline, we are Song.
I think Song, is about a lifestyle. It's more than an airline. Our translation is we want to create a movement. We want to create a movement of people that are going to have an emotional connection with this company.
Song hired one of the world's leading branding agencies to create a name and a look like no other airlines.
The logo is the easy part. It's everything else. It goes from the ticket jacket to the boarding pass to the screen on the kiosk when you check in to what's on the back wall behind that kiosk when you check in to what goes on the screen that says what time your flight is leaving to what the gate area looks like. Then you move on board the plane. What does the outside of the plane look like? What does the inside of the plane look like? That means carpet. That means bulkhead patterns in front of the seats. What goes on the baby changing table in the lav? What does the lav smell like?
Song not only branded their planes, they branded their people. Instead of holding job interviews, Song auditioned their flight attendants, then taught them how to be Song, giving them scripts for what to say and how to act.
Song is becoming an adjective at our airline, so we've got an expression, you are so Song. We can never do anything that's off song or off tune. It has to be on brand.
Do they kind of teach you to be Song?
Oh no, we had Song in us before Song was Song.
So they give you more permission to be Song.
They were like, you are so Song, bring it, show it. Right?
Bring it on.
Be it, be Song.
Have you ever done anything that you were being and it turned out it wasn't Song? In other words, you're just so Song. In your natural state,
always,
you just live
always.
Song.
When I'm sleeping, when I'm eating, when I'm
You're
breathing,
born
when I'm
Song.
talking, I'm Song, baby.
But despite Song's enthusiasm, there's reason to wonder if they are breaking through the clutter. A dozen actors with Song TVs strapped to their stomachs got lots of puzzled stares in the streets of Boston.
I'm not sure, but I'm either really drunk or some strange shit going down.
But so did every other walking billboard. They've opened a new Song concept store in Boston, but it seems like one more distraction in a giant mall. And it may have raised more questions than it answered.
Like in a sweatshirt, you don't want me in
digestible.
So you're an airline
Yes, we are.
or a travel agency?
We're an airline.
Can consumers see through all of this brand experience to the product song is supposed to be selling?
Okay. So something new. You're welcome. Have a great day.
If you scratch the self-confident surface of advertising, you'll uncover an unnerving anxiety. Is any of this really working? There's an aphorism as old as advertising itself. I know I'm wasting half my ad dollars, I just don't know which half. What works, when does it work, and with whom? The whispered truth on Madison Avenue is that despite enough studies to fill a library, still, nobody really knows.